Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In today's session, I'm going to talk about the role of global halal ecosystem in support of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. My name is Dr. Norsaidatul Mazlan. I am the Group CEO of Think Plus Consulting. It is our great honor, and I'd like to thank the organizer for allowing me to speak on this topic today, as I believe this topic is highly relevant and very suitable in relation to the exhibition and also related to the iHalal conference that is being organized by iHalal organization. Yeah. So for me to talk about the role of global halal ecosystem is something very close to my heart, because I am a certified green project manager under GPM Global. Yeah, so my company Think Plus Consulting provide a lot of sustainable courses, and we drive the sustainability element with respect towards the sustainability impact assessment under the banner of Sustainable Development Goals. So if you can see why this topic is relevant today is because we know that SMEs, wherever they are, they like to go global. And the topic of halal is related to something that a lot of companies around the world are sorting for, not just good products and good services, but also looking for competent people who can handle the sustainability element also, with respect towards global. Now, there are six basic elements that I believe for anyone who wants the global that they have to take into consideration many issues. Yeah? I have highlighted 6 elements here as areas of interest that anyone who wants to go global need to be knowledgeable, competent, and also able to drive the completing deliverables that of nature more important respect towards halal. So the 2-in-1 concept that I'm going to integrate as a topic for today is on sustainability elements and project management skill. Now, why these 2 elements is very important, because like any other projects, understanding risk, the sensitivity of the risk, the opportunity of the risk, and the sustainability impact of the risk are elements that we believe are core towards the understanding of sustainability. So for those who want to go abroad and to address global issues like halal, we have to understand that the element of integration with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are very important element to be aligned with. Now, for those who are fully knowledgeable on the 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, they are elements that has got a lot of integration between one another, between those numbers, as number from number 1 to number 17, you can see that each and every one of these elements are not only interrelated, but it has its element of what I call interlinked, integrated, transparent, and also creating a universal impact towards transformation. That's the reason why for anyone who touches on any of these 17 SDGs, they will be able to provide a greater impact. So which one of these 17 SDGs will give you a higher frequency or higher order of impact? Let's look at what I'm going to show in the next slides. Yeah? You can see that if anyone were to do any ranking between rank number 1 to rank number 17 in accordance to the SDG, you can see that the rank will depend on the type of SDG that they choose. And you can see in column 1 will be the ranking, in column 2 will be the numbering of the SDGs, and column number 3 is respect towards the definition of the item as defined in the SDG. Now, column number 4, which is the number of goals in relation to the sustainability and how they are connected, you can see the number of interactions or integration that SDG has with the others. So if someone wants to look for a greater SDG or greater impact of the SDG number 12 will give a greater impact in relation to others because of their interconnectivity and in terms of its integration and in terms of its relationship with the others. Yeah. So if someone wants to see this in the form of graphic, here is what it is. So you can see very well that, each and every one of the SDG can be linked to the other as they are all highly interrelational, and it has linkages, and the number of linkages that each one have with the other, you can calculate it, and that is where you see the numbers here as SDG number 12 as having the highest interconnectivity respect towards the goals in relation to others. As you go downwards, you can see that as the SDG is coming, and to what extent, if you are selecting any of these SDGs as part of your project management, it is wise to use the table to ensure that your objective on creating impact for the SDG would be relevant to what your main objective is. Okay, now let me look at the form of today's discussion. As we know, we are talking about global halal ecosystem. And global halal ecosystem is highly related to the Sharia compliance principles or foundation. Yeah. So if we want to realize it together with the SDG, so it is very important to see in terms of its networking and in terms of its integration, plus in terms of its upskilling. Yeah? So when you look at Sharia compliance, there are many principles under the Sharia compliance that every industry is connected to, whether it's in the industry of logistics, banking, healthcare, tourism, or in construction. Yeah, whether it is related to technology or related to other development that has got a lot of compliances with the government standard or with the economic activity of the country. So if someone was to look at bringing halal certification into their industry, the main reason for a lot of it is because it has not only the religious values and the spirituality of it, but it's because of the strong governance that it gives towards a community and also to the society. Yeah? So, for example, like takaful, it has a very strong connotation when it comes to the spirituality element of helping others and in terms of the system to help others. Yeah? So it has a strong foundation. The same thing with halal. It has an Islamic foundation for spirituality and governance. On top of that, it helps another level of infrastructure which creates a compliance issue towards production, towards services, infrastructure, government support, and human capital. Now, whether it's called in the aspect of human capital, we can talk about the halal executive and the halal project management. Yeah. So, if anyone were to be part of this halal ecosystem, their main task is not only to look at the product and the processes and to expect profit out of it, but its main objectives, of course, to look at the sustainability impact, the SDGs realization. As you can see earlier, we must understand what is the SDG realization that we want to look into when we want to pick the SDGs. So the alignment of the SDGs together with the halal implementation, it has a very strong link. But how do you link it in the form of the framework? So this is where you believe you can see the standards of the Sharia Halal Foundation principle can be linked to the SDG with respect towards its interconnectivity. This is one of the best graphical presentation in terms of where the halal compliance standard is with respect towards not only driving the compliance issues, standards and policies, its principles and values, its environmental protection, its local resource mobilization, its spirituality, and of course its governance. So this mapping has driven a lot of people to then understand that green and halal is highly connected. So if someone wants to look at green projects, it is therefore related to Sharia compliance principle. If someone were to look at halal, it's also in line with the Sharia compliance principle. So when both are together, respect towards compliance and SDG, you can see the interlink between the 17 SDG and the principle of the Sharia Halal Compliance Foundation. So this is a beautiful graph with respect towards our alignment. So we are not far away from what the SDG principles are as compared to the principles of Sharia compliance. True enough, when I met with Dr. Joel Carboni, the founder of GPM Global and the founder of the P5, when I look at this framework, the first feedback that I gave to him, because he came from USA and I met him in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, the first statement that I put forward to him is that, Dr. Joel, this framework that you gave to me is so Sharia compliance because it gives a value-driven, what I call a scope of compliance that looks after the people, the planet, and the economic activity. His reply to me was, I guess that's how I call it green project management. So the element of green that was mentioned to before the word sustainability comes in, the element of green comes in respect towards it has to be clean, it has to be compliance, it has to be value driven, it has to create impact for the people, the society, and the prosperity of the community. All this makes our understanding about green and halal and Sharia compliance as together, alignment together. It's only that the name may differ because we're looking at different prospects of the element of implementation. Yeah. So, being a certified green project manager, I look at this P5 framework as our compass of scoping the different type of projects that we want to do when we want to implement halal products, halal process, or halal projects. So this is where the skill that is lacking, I believe, in most of our SMEs or in our organization that is related to halal is because the project management skill to handle the totality of the implementation is probably not equipped or probably not competent enough. Yeah. So why I say this is because there's a lot of SMEs who has got different type of projects. Yeah, for example, in scenario one, as SDG one, some project may just focus on product, process, profit, and this is where we call the 3P business model. Some project may look at product, process, community, and profit because they believe they are more of a social enterprise approach where they do focus on certain community that they want to address. Another project which is related towards 5P, where we have the product, process, the people, the planet, and prosperity. This project has got the P5 framework embedded into it. And as compared to the others, you can see some will just focus on environment and just some will focus on prosperity or community. So when SME goes global, look at their own project, they need to identify what scope of sustainability are they addressing that I mentioned to you earlier. They must identify which one under each sub-element of the P5 would they want to pick and choose and to drive their project into completion. As you can see, in project management, we cannot make an objective be defined after a project is complete. The objective need to be defined much earlier before the project start. The reason why I say this is like when we want to fast, we must put our niyat in place before we do our fasting. The same thing when we want to do halal project or before we want to do a sustainability project, our niyat must be embedded right in front, ahead before the project start. So if someone want to take a P5 framework, they can choose any of the elements under the people, any of the elements under the planet, and any of the elements under the prosperity, which they believe they can work a business model that can implement their product or processes. Therefore, they have got a project in place for them to calculate the business model and to deliver it in the time frame that they want. So if you can see, when we want to do the project management using the P5 standard, there is already an art on how to do it. It's just not pure management science. It has got an element of creativity, there's element of value driven, there's element of compliance, there's an element of the element of being closer to the community and respecting the environment. So all this comes with the soul in place, where we have to ensure that the objective is more towards the impact rather than towards the profit. So when someone wants to do a project management completion for, let's say, for halal certification factory, yeah. So this is one leading example. If someone has a project, they normally have got a standard operating procedure or standard operating practices which they have laid down for all the implementation of their project. Now, if they want to include sustainability impact into their standard operating procedures, they have to integrate based on the P5 framework. So if we were to introduce a program for the P5 framework to companies or to SMEs to include the sustainability, we have to have the integration, which is the integration of sustainability elements using P5, where the standard operating procedures that they normally implement or comply to will now have a sustainability measurement or sustainability impact. When they do the impact analysis, they will then see the difference about what they had achieved before and what they have achieved now after they've included in the integration. Now, once someone have done that, a sustainability report can be done on the request of the stakeholder or on the request of the project owner or on the request of the customer, because the impact of calculating sustainability is to look at where our yardstick is. If we want to measure carbon dioxide, for example, on carbon emission, if we want to measure regarding our labor practice, if we want to measure regarding our halal certification, all these can be measured once we really scope what we want to achieve with the resources that you have and with the objective of driving change. So if you want to drive change in your implementation, the P5 framework will give the better yardstick or the measurement for you to scope your work and also measure the impact. Now, we have conducted many courses on sustainability project management. One of the courses that I have created for SME Going Global is to create a 3-month course, and this can be done online or offline for people who probably do not know what is project management and how to implement projects. We also guide them on the international trade and overseas business, especially related to the halal certification. We also do a lot of digital content training and presentation skill, because more and more, a lot of people who are looking for international projects, they need to have the art of communicating, plus they need to also deliver the products in the manner where the customer wants it to be delivered. Yeah. So all these courses, of course, it can be a scope into a smaller scale or a smaller number. It's all subject to the country where we want to assist the project management skill for sustainability and also for impact assessment. Yeah? Now, for those who are looking for certification, our strategic partner, which is GPM Global, do provide the certification for upskilling courses, for advanced certificate courses, and also for competency courses like Certified Green Project Manager. I am a certified green project manager. I am an assessor, I'm a trainer, I'm a coach, and I'm also a mentor, not only to local universities and colleges. I also provide assistance to many NGOs that have got SMEs that are driving halal certification program, where they themselves do not know how to complete the project just by having just the halal certificate. They need to enhance themselves for further deliverables that are expected out of them coming from the customer. So there are many upskilling programs that we do to ensure that the impact of halal is not just in the process. It should be also delivered to the customer in all aspects of the importance of halal. Yeah? So we know that a lot of the time, companies are very interested in halal certification and halal logistics. And we have many trade office where a lot of these questions are being put forward. There's a lot of WhatsApp group that has been addressing these issues. But more and more, all discussion can be put into fruition if we have a very strong project management team that can handle the request, that can handle the delivery, and handle the competency. Yeah? So our main important topic that we discussed today on the international project management skill for creating global halal ecosystem is to ensure that we all have the right manpower, the right competency, and the right skill to handle the global effectiveness of halal to all other countries. We know this is a global phenomena, but it cannot be addressed with very few people or with people with limited skill. Yeah? It has to be grown in a manner that we can handle it in a bigger scale, and of course with the right scope of work and objective in achieving the results. So anyone who is a sustainable project manager, especially for halal industries or halal competency program, they will able to have this kind of leadership. They're able to become the change agent, they're able to take the leadership role, they're able to be accountable, and they're able to drive the mission of the holistic mission of creating the halal ecosystem. Yeah? So I share with you that the program that we develop is very much from the international standard under GPM Global, where I am the strategic partner. So you can view some of the courses there. Yeah? But as a certified Green Project Manager and the Strategic Alliance with GPM Global, we are more than happy to work with iHalal organization and iHalal conference to develop the skill that is needed for the people who wants to take on a bigger role for this global halal ecosystem. Yeah. So here is my contact for those people who wants to know more about how we develop and integrate sustainability impact assessment or sustainability impact project relating to halal, we are more than happy to assist. So I hope in today's session we have able to guide you in helping you to understand the integration of sustainability in the halal process, but also ensuring that the project management that is needed to complete the cycle of any businesses is also there. Therefore, we are not looking just to ensure the knowledge of halal certification is only in the process, but it also has to be completed in a wider scale of project management. Yeah? So I hope I have given you the correct perspective about how to go global, not only for SME and organization, and for any individual who wants to take up the role of project management, they have to be competent not only on the compliance issue, but competent also in helping SMEs or any other organization to be a player in the ecosystem. Yeah? So I thank the organizer for allowing me to speak in today's session, and I hope this session is a fruitful one. And I wish all the best for the participants and the other presenters that have contributed to this conference to give the best of what we can give for making this conference one of the best conference of the year. Yeah? So I hope I can share with you whatever that I have today for the benefit of others, and I hope this can bring us to a greater height and also to a better integration for the global transformation, especially now that we are in facing a lot of matters related to COVID-19. So every country is facing its own lockdown. So we hope by having this conference, either by the webinar or through any other forum, we could be integrated and still could implement projects related to halal in a different platform, but united in its way because of our globalization phenomena of project management. So that, thank you once again, all the best, and if you have any question, you can always reach out to me in a manner either through the organization or through the contact details that I've given to you on the slides. So I wish you all the best. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.